Hi, this is Diane Lovetobake on YouTube, and what we're going to make is a cake. We're going to make a very large cake. In fact, we're going to make a half a sheet cake. The pan that I'm using is 12 by 18 by 2 inches. I always get questions, how tall is my pan? It's by 2 inches, 12 by 18 by 2. And it is a half a sheet. I went ahead and greased it and also dusted it with flour. You can go ahead and use your parchment paper and grease the sides or spray them. If you prefer to use the parchment, feel free. I'm going to use my stand-up mixer because it's a larger cake and I really need a mixer that can handle it. I'm not saying you can't make it with a hand mixer, but would I do it? No, I would really always rely on my stand-up for this cake anyway, okay? What I did was, so I don't keep you too long watching, is that I started to beat things together, and I'll explain. And by the way, right off the top, well, gotta say what I'm baking, right? I'm doing a basic yellow cake. So a basic yellow cake batter is what I'm using. If you want a little bit of a fancier type of yellow cake in the large, I have several. I have every flavor that you can think of on the half sheet cake. So please, if you'd like to try a different yellow cake, I have some really good ones. I think now this will make my third yellow half sheet, and then along the other chocolate, the red velvets, you name it, I've got it on there. So if you need a large cake, please check out my channel. So starting off with this basic half sheet yellow cake, I'm going to give you the ingredients and the amounts right off the bat. So if you want to grab a pencil and paper, that kind of thing, you can write it down. I'm sorry I no longer put my recipe below the video. I'll explain later why not. So let's get started, and hopefully I'll go slowly enough and clearly enough that if you're jotting down the ingredients, you're going to get them, okay? So first, let's talk about the dry ingredients. What I did, I went ahead and in this bowl, I have 4 cups of all-purpose flour. I'm going to be putting in 4 teaspoons of baking powder, okay? And I'm also going to be putting in a half a teaspoon of salt. And then I'm just with my little whisk here, just giving it a good stir, okay? And then we're going to set that aside. But we've got our dry ready to go. All right. The next thing that we're going to do is talk about, well, our butter. You're going to be using 3 sticks of butter. Leave it out at room temperature, and because you don't want it cold. So what I did is I went ahead and I took my 3 sticks of butter and I started to cream it so it's nice and fluffy, okay? And I already did that to save some time. So I got those 3 sticks, I cut them up in small pieces, and then I just started to beat them till they were light and fluffy. The next thing you're going to put in with the butter is 3 cups of granulated sugar. Now I'm going to start to beat that together. You will want to spend time on this. Spend 2, 3, maybe in 4 minutes. It depends on your speed. A medium works well for me. I'm going to raise the speed up a little bit because of the video to move it along. But you do want the butter and the sugar to be very well combined so it's light and it's fluffy. I want to warn you about the sound because my mixer can be loud on your end, so you can be warned to, turn down the sound. So I'm going to turn on the mixer. just want to clean up the sides here a little bit where it tends to stick and get to the bottom. And I'm going to turn it up a little bit faster than I normally would, only to the video. So again, warn you about the sound. Okay, now normally do I, do it that at that high of a speed? No, but again, I'm just moving it along so I don't have to keep you watching so long, okay? All right. All right, now the next thing that we're going to do is what I have in this mixing bowl is 8 eggs. They were at room temperature, and I actually did beat them ahead of time so that they're very well combined. Again, you want your eggs to be very light and fluffy. I'm just redoing it a little bit to put some air back in there because it was sitting there for a little bit. All right, now once you have those 8 eggs beat, you're going to put in 1 1/3 cups of milk. 1 1/3. All right, and I'm just going to give that a good beat, and it's becoming very frothy and very light. I don't know if you can see that or not. All right, the next thing we're going to be putting in is 4 teaspoons of vanilla. 4 teaspoons. And again, whisk it, beat it. You don't want to use your, your hand, or for whatever reason, you can use, use your hand mixer. Okay, so I have that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to spend time alternating the wet with the dry to the butter, okay? So I'm going to start just putting a little bit of that egg mixture in. And you'll want to do this at a low speed, so of course, flour doesn't go all over your kitchen. And then I'm going to put some dry in. And then just keep alternating. But you do want to let about the last thing you put in is the dry. And you're going to beat that at about medium. So again, just keep adding a little at a time. Just so that it's not becoming thick like a cookie dough, but it's moving smoothly enough like a thinner batter, if that makes sense. I hope it does. And then I'm going to put some more liquid in. And dry. Up my speed a little bit. I'm going to add the liquid, the rest of the liquid, and I'm going to end with the dry. Now I'm just going to clean up my sides a little bit here, where again it tends to stick, and check out that bottom where it also sticks a little. And now I'm going to turn up my speed. just turn it up for another second. I'm going to put this on so I won't have any splashing. Now again, I usually beat anywhere from medium to medium high. You don't want to beat too long because you don't want the texture or the cake to become tough or dense. But the last few seconds here, I'm going to turn it all the way up. So I'll warn you about the sound. Alrighty. Now we're going to just get my paddle out of there. Alright, and we'll just take off the excess. I try not to waste any because everything is so expensive now in the stores. You don't want to waste any of your product. And I just want to make sure to clean the sides of my bowl. Check that bottom and, you know, give it a good turnaround here with my spatula. And you do get this beautiful velvety, I don't know if you can see that, velvety batter. And it really smells so good because of all the butter and the sugar. Even when baking this cake, oh gosh, it just smells so good. Okay. All right, I see just a little tiny lump in there, and I want to get it out of there if I can. There. Okay. Alrighty, and we're going to just pour that into our pan. Now we're going to bake this cake at 325 degrees, and it could come up anywhere for you within 50 minutes to 55. You know, our oven's set up so differently. I like to start watching mine, well, really at about 42 minutes or so is when I start watching mine. Okay, but it could take you, you know, on the longer side, it could take you up to maybe 55 minutes. But again, I want you to check it because, you know, our oven's set up so differently. So you know what your oven is capable of doing. And you don't want to over bake it. You don't want it to dry out, but you certainly want to make sure that it's baked correctly. So use your cake tester or, you know, a toothpick to see. All right, and I'm just going to get rid of that for a second. And then, pardon the noise, but I, you know, try to tap it a little bit to get some of the air bubbles out. Okay, so again, 325, anywhere from 45 minutes to 52, 55. When I baked this at a friend's house, you know, it took longer for me than mine, and I noticed such a difference when I've even baked, like I said, at my friend's house and compared. So, you know, watch it so that it doesn't over bake for you. Okay, now let me just clean this away here for a second. And I want to rinse my hands quickly with just a little bit of soap because I was working with raw eggs. And I don't want to touch a clean cake, but I want to show you the finished product. And here it is. We've got our 12 by 18. It is a nice cake. It will respond well in the oven. Well, it'll bounce back for you when it's done, that kind of thing. It's a very light cake, very moist, but it is a basic cake that you could use for strawberry shortcake, So many uses. This cake is good even on its own with a little bit of powdered sugar, or served with some fresh fruit. That type of thing. It's a really delicious cake with or without frosting or icing. Of course, you can put whatever flavor that you want over it. But like I said, it's a wonderful cake with just with powdered sugar over it. It tastes really, really good. So there you have it. You've got a half a sheet of a basic yellow cake that you can use for, well, whatever get together or social that you might be having that you need a larger cake. And if you don't, you can always cut it in half, as I do many times, wrap it very well, and I freeze it, and I try to use it within a month or two though, from out of the freezer, and just let it unthaw. It won't take long, and you can then you can freeze it with frosting. You could freeze it without frosting, but I generally try to use my cakes up. If I end up like, you know, like I said, cutting it in half because I didn't want to use the whole sheet, half sheet, but just wrap it really well. And again, I tend to use them up within about 2 months, because I don't care how well I wrap it, it'll get that freezer burn on it, or that freezer burn taste, so that's not good. So there you have it. I want to tell you, I am sorry again that I don't put the recipe underneath the video, and I'm not alone on this, that's for sure. But when folks have written to me, or you have a question or a comment, I find my work on other sites where people they claim my work as theirs, and it's so frustrating to see where you've written to me, or you've written a comment, or you have a question and I can't answer you, that it's just not worth the time anymore to put it in there. So I want to tell you, thanks again always for watching Diane Lovetobake on YouTube, because YouTube is the only place that I put my work on. So if you're watching me on YouTube and you write to me or have a question, I will do my very best to answer in a timely fashion. But I'm going to get that question, I'm going to get that comment if it's on YouTube. Okay, so I just wanted to tell you why, because I get a lot of times questions, well, gee, why don't you put the recipe on anymore? So that's why I kind of wanted to tell you and share that with you. Okay, well, if you're so inclined and you'd like to subscribe to the channel, well, I can't thank you enough, or ring the bell. It would be fantastic. So thanks again for watching Diane Lovetobake on YouTube. Stay well, stay safe, and I'll see you soon.